Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope all is well with you. Welcome to Business Basics Friday. I am Safietou Russell, CEO and founder of SDR Consulting, Inc. And welcome to you, whether you're here on Clubhouse or if you're here on Facebook Live. Definitely welcome to the session today. If you're joining us, feel free to post where you're coming from. We're in New York. I'm in New York right now. It's 34 degrees and doing some kind of freezing rain outside. Hopefully heading into spring soon. So if you're here live, feel free to comment where you're joining us from. All right, so a little bit about my background. I've been in the industry 20 years and I'm a CPA and enrolled agent. And I also have a master's in taxation. And SDR Consulting, Inc. is a virtual firm based in New York. But since we're virtual, we work with clients all over. And we mostly work with business owners providing business startup and business cleanup services. And Business Basics Friday is a weekly session catered to providing value to business owners. We have a variety of guest speakers that come in to help share information and educate you in all the areas that business owners may need to manage. So if you do have questions along the way as guest speakers presenting, feel free to post them in the comments as well as in Clubhouse, the back channel, messenger feature there, and we will open up for Q&A at the end. All right, so at this time, I want to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker for today. Let me just make sure my technology and all that stuff is good to go. If you're in Clubhouse, I'm sure you can hear me. I'm just going to double check where we are online. Okay, perfect. All right, so today we have Ayesha Sanders, who's going to definitely cover a really important topic that I'm sure many of us don't think about. As business owners, we're kind of just grinding it out and going with the flow. But it's really important that we understand what's the future plan for our business and what is our continuity plan. So I'm looking forward to learning some more insight about that. So Ayesha, if you're ready, you can come on board and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Safie. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to share. I am Ayesha Sanders, Coach Ayesha. I have a tech company, which I have now translated everything I do into business continuity. I've been in tech for over 10 years. I've been in customer service for about 20. And as well as coaching tech, I do have the privilege of coaching people through life transformations. So I use some of the same philosophies in my personal coaching as I do in the business coaching. So I'll begin to share the topic today on business continuity. And I'm going to share my screen. Some who are listening and unable to view the screen, the slide, I'll still make it understandable for you, and this is available at a later time. Okay. So is personal business continuity. We all are people, but running businesses, no matter what industry you're in. And I can see the chat, but if you would like, you could just put in the chat just so I can get a feel for what industry you are running your business in, or what industry you're working in. When things go wrong, don't go with them. The reason why it is important to have a plan, and that's whether you're starting your business or maintaining the business, is you want to know how you're going to react no matter what the circumstances are. Business continuity, in case you have never heard of this concept, it is actually not a new concept, because usually when you start a business, you want to stay in business. And business continuity is about having a plan to address unexpected, interruptive, and difficult events in order to continue functioning with as little disruption as possible. Before I started as a business owner, when I was working at a hospital, local hospital, it was very important for everyone, all stakeholders, to know within the hospital, to know how to handle the unexpected. software could go down and we need to still serve the patients. And I was working as a tech, so we went from computer to paper. And you're maybe running your business from home. You may be a solopreneur, you may have a small company that's less than 10 employees. Even if you're not a hospital, and even if you aren't running a major operation, or you feel as a major operation that's impacting savings, that's impacting someone's life, you still need a plan. According to the Washington Post, about 100,000 small businesses were forced to close permanently during COVID-19, during this current pandemic. And small businesses or businesses close on a regular basis, but this is an example of a disaster that can occur that could cause a business to close. I'm sure that if some of these companies had a plan, it would be a different result. They could have merged, they could have sold the company and still maintain it. And there were options. And a lot of you know about the option of the PPP loans and the grants. Those were good fallback plans. But even if someone received any kind of finances during the time, they still need to know how would they move forward. There were companies that may have taken a PPP loan out and still did not have enough staff. So they may have had low morale, may have had staff with health issues, and this was one of the most uncertain times. But uncertainty does not give us the right or the excuse to say, I don't know what to do. So why is it important? So if you are in business to make an impact and make a profit, unexpected events can happen. They happen every day. A plan does not prevent them from happening at all. It just helps us to be ready. Now, here's another stat, and I'm just sharing this range because I used several sources. 55 to 75% of small businesses do not have a business continuity plan. Again, it is not a new idea. It is just the idea, we're talking about it. It came about around the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken. And if you have anything you want to add in the chat, I'm looking at the chat, and it is the idea that something can happen and we need to be ready. That's no different, again, for major corporations. So when I say, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What's the plan? It is the idea that disaster recovery is necessary. These are a few things that can happen when we're saying anything can happen, unexpected events. These are events that are happening: data breaches, destructive storms, employee retaliation, and of course, coming back to the pandemic. And no one starts a business with or without a business plan with the hopes that, it will end. So let's get it started. What other disasters? Let's think about that. What other disasters that could happen? Because, it may not be hurricane season where you live. It may not be flooding that is happening where you live. But the pandemic, even if you feel like it may have subsided, there are still other everyday disasters that can happen. Water damage. You're in your house, you're running your home-based business, and you have your computers, you have everything you need in the office. Well, what happens when it floods? You could have had a pipe burst in your home, and then that impacts your business. That's a disaster. Like sometimes we think, oh, the disaster is my phone died in the middle of a presentation, but there are things that are happening on a daily basis that we may wait until it happens, and our business continuity plan is almost our insurance. we have insurance and we say, okay, well, there's water damage to my laptop because something happened in my home or something happened in the office, and I can contact my insurance company. So when we're talking about your business continuing, we're talking about within the next hour. These are not things you keep in your head. They're not things you keep in an email. This plan is not something that you keep in your cell phone of who to call. It is something that you need to have on hard copy. You need to have in your staff know what the next move is. What if a disaster would be, or an unexpected event would be, hey, me as the operating owner have COVID. You would need to have something in place, not just who's going to open the store, who's going to make the call, but you would need to have something in place. People don't have your passwords, and these seem small, but they're necessary things that you don't wait to create the plan for. So how is it personal? The way that it is personal is when you have a plan, it builds trust. People know that they can trust you as the owner. I know I'm still going to get my check. I know that these things came up and the owner still has my back. My manager has my back. And then when you do not have a plan to continue, you actually break trust, not just the trust with your staff, but when you do not have a plan, it breaks the trust of your children. Your children see the stress that you have. A disaster comes, you didn't have a plan. That's in your house, but that's definitely with your business. It still affects you personally, because then you take more time to scramble, and then that takes away from the quality of your family time. Your significant other knows that you didn't have a plan. Hey, I didn't know that this employee was going to retaliate. They had access to everything. I didn't even have, I trusted them and I didn't have access to certain accounts myself. That's a disaster. When people are trusting you in your personal life, you are stressed. Your customers see it eventually. But I'm going to say that most disasters, especially like the pandemic, no customer is really looking at you personally and saying, it's your fault this happened. It's your fault that a hurricane came. It's your fault that you had my information written on paper. I got to resubmit and you should have had it backed up somewhere in the cloud, perhaps. No one is looking at you as a business owner saying, hey, it is your fault these disasters happen. What does happen is your customers, your family, your significant other, your friends, people who are relying on you outside of your business, they're looking at you as if, hey, you didn't have a plan for this? And how can they trust you? Not just trust you to present, hey, this quality product, this quality service, you fulfilled my order, you did this, you did that, you advocated for me. But when things go wrong that are outside of your control, now one may not be able to trust you to handle, disasters, unexpected events. So being a business owner, we all know we are planners or rely on other experts to plan for us. We all know that the skill of organization is very important, but we don't want to break the trust of not only our customers, but we don't want to break the trust of our family that we can possibly compartmentalize business and then separate and say, okay, it's family time. And disasters, again, can happen all the time. We see it. We see data breaches, again, happening on a daily basis. So again, how is it personal? 2, mismanaging resources. Exactly that. Say if you're a small business owner and you're working from your house and you just started, you have your business laptop and then something goes wrong. we wouldn't even say something as small as a virus. We would just say something goes wrong. We don't know what it was. And I was about to finish this contract. I was about to pay this or that. Well, the only other laptop in the house might be a homeschooler's laptop. They're in the middle of doing their work. That's a mismanagement of resources. You're impeding on someone else's success when you don't have a backup plan, when you may not have other resources. It is great to start as a business owner, whether you, again, had a plan or not. Some of us started traditionally. We went to a small business center. We wrote out our plan. We came up with all great ideas. We picked our colors for our business and we came up with the logo. And even if we, at the beginning, may not be able to sleep at night because we're excited, then there are parts where we're not able to sleep at night because we're worried. Did I do the right thing? Am I getting the right customers? Oh, I got a marketing idea. So we're mismanaging our resources when we're not preparing for the worst of the unexpected. And again, it affects our personal life. It also impacts our health. Our health, even though I'm not a health expert, I was given one body. And I know what it's like to stay up at night and to worry. And when you're worried, not just about the pandemic, not just about how you're going to maintain during something that is impacting everyone, but when you're worried about, hey, well, when does the license run out for that software? I'm not my IT person, but I need to figure it out. I need to know, when does it run out? And say you have an IT person, software is about to run out, IT person may give their notice, or some other opportunity comes along, and what will you do? You're going to call the IT person? No, you as a business owner, you need to have access to all that is useful for operating your business. An example would be a CPA. You're a CPA, great CPA, but has been your CPA for 20, 30 years. And now, hey, your CPA decided to retire. Did you use some software, integrate something in advance with your CPA? Did you rely on an expert who had your information that was accessible, still be accessible to you? Or did you choose an expert who was like, I'm the gateway, they're not going to get anything done without me? That's not helpful. That's not useful, because again, you stay up at night. It affects your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. And when your health is impacted, mismanagement of resources, and your trust is broken, you're not functioning in all relationships in the best way. And especially when it comes down to it, the relationship with your customer. So what can I do today? Even if you have not felt the impact right now of downtime, software failure, even data corruption, even if you haven't felt the impact, think about a couple of months ago. Remember, you may have been posting on Facebook and you had a major business announcement. You could have had a live that was planned. Remember, there was an outage. Whether scheduled or unscheduled, we didn't have a backup plan if your only source of connecting with your customers was through one channel. And maybe you didn't have a list or a newsletter or some sort of way to connect with your customers through a database. You just relied on social media because it's convenient. And even if you had your information on Google and you didn't have hard copies and you didn't have it in the cloud, that must have felt terrible. You think about it. What did you do? What did you do on that day? Did you just say, okay, everybody's off of work today, I can't function? We were doing so much of our business here. We had ads running and we knew something was about to happen here over business. Or did you shut down all the computers because you felt limited? What did you do? We don't want to think about, the uncertainty, because it is heavy, but these things happen every day. So when I say what can you do, I'm going to share just a few of my 10 wins. In my personal coaching, I address almost every life issue and now business issue with this. So the first one is to address the delay. And the delay could be a barrier. So question is, why don't you have a plan? Why are you, if this fits you, part of the 55 to about 55% of small businesses who don't have a plan? Like, is business continuity new to you? And so the question is, why don't you have a plan? And if your problem is it a barrier? You know, you don't know how to do it. It's new to you. Are you delayed because of a constraint? You know, are you you don't have another resource that can help you? Are you delayed because it's a trigger? Oh, I've been dealing with those, so I can tell you. So are you delayed because it's a trigger and you say, every time I think about the worst that can happen and my family depends on me for this source of income from my business, it's a trigger. I don't want to think about it. I don't have time to plan it because I don't want to think about it. Is it like writing your getting life insurance? Is it similar to writing a will? Like, what will happen? Your business can't stand alone without you, and that's a trigger for you. It probably makes you angry for the frustration of, what am I going to do? And do you know that if you're passed out, like, you know, from exhaustion or whatever, that is not the time to be, I need to tell someone to go look in that cabinet and then this happens. For instance, if you're similar to me, single parent, and you're running your household, educating your child, running a business, working on different projects, and something happens. Maybe you didn't die that day. Death does come, but if something happens and it's limiting what you can do, who is going to pay your bills? Who knows your account numbers? Who knows when it's due? Now, most people may not have a calendar of when things are due. And even if they do, we run into the problems of point of contact. Who is the point of contact on different personal and business accounts? If I go to help one of my clients and I'm not a point of contact at the Department of Revenue, I can't just ask a question just to resolve a problem, to place this, get the data, to use the data for something else, because I may not be a point of contact. So it's not just the power of attorney, which you can contact your attorney about that. It's the point of contact on simple things that hinders moving forward, whether with or without you, whether with or without your time, or you on vacation, whether during unexpected times, needing an asset to this information. So what can I do today? Today, you could start by going through all your accounts on the phone. This is just a simple, this is a freebie because this wasn't even on my list, but all the accounts that your business has access to, bank accounts, you could start calling today or putting in writing, hey, this person is a point of contact. And it is a point of contact, not necessarily power of attorney, but you do what you will with what you need to manage. And so one of the services that I offer is bill pay. So I just want to use that as an example of, if you don't already have a location or a collection of your accounts and when they need to be paid and have not already assigned someone, what can you do when you're exhausted and maybe someone's taking you to the hospital and you have an emergency, you have a temporary, unexpected event? You as the business owner, you think your 8-year-old child gonna run your business? I mean, what I'm saying is, we cannot do it all ourselves as solopreneurs or small business owners. Even if you're not a corporation, you have to treat yourself as a corporation, because shouldn't your business stand alone to a certain degree? If you have a team, if you have a staff, shouldn't your business stand alone? I believe it should, but that's just my opinion. But I've seen where businesses are about to go out of business, but then they start pulling resources. And when they pull resources, whether temporarily or permanently to help them, it's more effective that way. So going back to before we I'll share these ideas. Going back to that, you cannot just address the delays with it inside of you. So sharing it with experts can definitely help. One of the things that is helping, and this is probably how I met Safie, was commune with your community. Find out who in your community, other small business owners, other solopreneurs, others who have startups. Commune with them and see what's working for them. You may be surprised your, cohort or your colleague actually has a plan. That is no shame in discussing, hey, I'm just trying to see how I can do this. So networking is very important. But here are some ideas to turn into reality. Asset replacement. So when you have a plan, you can consider these things. Say you're about to go out of business. These are just ideas. But when you are out of compliance and you get a letter, that is an unexpected event, especially if you did not know out of starting a new business, or you didn't know because now that resource is no longer working in your business, that your company is out of compliance. You haven't updated certain licenses because you are relying on a staff member who's no longer with you. These are important ideas to consider, and some of the reasons why you should consider them, especially data management, moving to cloud. I, as a tech, am always questioning, well, what if there's a data breach? What if this happens? But what if it doesn't happen? And then you only have a lot of your data management on paper. And I've talked to people who said, oh, well, I had to upgrade and replace my machine, and all of my contacts were there on that computer. On the hard drive, not a good idea. So I'm sharing with you just for free, this is the asset management tool. This is a start. Is this the plan? This is not the plan, but it's a start. So the idea is not just to have a plan, a hard copy, a thick hard copy, and say, this is who is in control when this happens. Here are the assets. When this unexpected event, where is our backup? Where is it located? Where on the cloud can we find it? Where is the server? All of these things can be answered in a plan, and then you actually manage the plan as you go on. But what if today you say, I don't have a plan? Today, you can start by creating your asset management tool or asset management sheet. And if you see the scan code here, and it's also available at Linktree, Coach Ayesha, Safie has just put it in the comments. So it should be it is going to be the link that says request free asset management tool. Just put in your email address and I'll go ahead and give it to you. And that way we can stay in contact. And then if you have any questions, then you can reach back out to me. It's pretty self-explanatory. On this display, you don't see some of the key for this sheet, but it pretty much is saying, what is the nickname that you give it? You just say in your business, oh, the tablet, go in my office and get the tablet. So you, in the first column, you would just be naming, or iPhone, you would just be naming what is the device, hardware or software that you need to record as an asset. Some of these things your CPA would end up telling you that, if you're selling any of the hardware, for instance, you would want to already have these things recorded. You would, and on this sheet is not the value of them, but this is a start. If you were transitioning again, and one of the ideas that I had mentioned, you were looking for the way to profit, and you wanted to get rid of some used hardware without, losing money. And this tool will help. But really, this tool is a start when you say unexpected events. There's a flooding in my office, or you have a loss, it's stolen, and you can't find the serial number readily available if you don't have it recorded when it's stolen. Well, ma'am, what's the serial number of the device that's missing? You can't go look at it then. Again, those are examples of you're exhausted, you're in the hospital, and you cannot then say, I'm going to start my continuity plan now. And when you have a theft or a loss in your business, even if it's, hey, I lost my laptop and I left it on the plane, they got it for me and I can pick it up at airport, what is that going to do for you? Maybe not much, and especially because they may have to verify that it's yours and you don't have the serial number. Having these recordings will save you time. And going back to it being personal, you're not going to then turn around and start yelling at family and friends and taking it out on them, because you say, hey, I have my list, I'm ready. I was ready for this unexpected thing to happen in my life, and I have this list. No, I'm really upset right now. I'm really upset that somebody just stole my business laptop, went to an event. I'm really upset, but upset and prepared is those are two different things. You can be upset, but who you going to be mad at? When you don't have it recorded, you're going to be mad at yourself. And that's when it gets personal, because you take it out on your employees. You don't have their serial number. You don't know what software we were running. That's your business. So it ends up being your business. Even if there are devices that you have not lent, you have invested in for your employees or your staff to use, it is still your responsibility. Anything, again, can happen. What if a fire happens and you have an employee who works for you from the comfort of their home, and a fire could happen in their home? What do you do? What do you do then? That, you have to go back to the purchase company and then ask these questions. And so on this list, just an example, besides the description of what it is, the nickname, what it is, we have things like what brand it is, what model it is, what was the retail store that you got it from. For instance, if you did get it from Best Buy has great coverage plans. You got it from Best Buy. When does the manufacturer warranty ends? When does the coverage ends for that you purchased at the retail store? And is the coverage through the retail store, or is it like the contact at the retail store? And then one of the last things which is necessary to note is the phone number, email, website. You don't know, did you ordered it online? Well, which location did you order it from? You don't want to have to prove these things when you're having an emergency in a replacement, things that can be easily replaced. Even if you said, hey, I'm just going to buy a new model, but I just don't know what I just need the exact model, and I'm fine for letting it go, and I'll do an insurance claim later. Of course, these again will help you, but you need to also know this. So this is a start, but you need to also know if today a software stopped working, what is your go-to? Do you call the company? How do you get it up and running again? Did you only have one license? Did you have 5 licenses and you don't know why the 5th license, is on a device that you no longer have access to? Keeping up with these things will save you time and of course, save you headache, but it will actually help you to continue to enjoy your relationships, because just because something unexpected happens does not necessarily mean you have to express it in a way that negatively impacts the relationships with your customers, with your family, with your friends. You want to continue on. And that's pretty much what the plan is to be able to function. And we say all the time, new normal. So we want to say how do we function with the new normal, but you may want to keep a lot of the same things in place. You may want to keep the joy in your family in place. So when you go home, you're not venting in a way that is negatively impacting you, your sleep, your friends, your family, and mismanagement of resources, because now you're taking someone's time just to vent about something that you had enough time to plan for when nothing was going wrong. So that is the conclusion of, and I'm willing to take questions, but that is the conclusion of the plan, because you have to start. Now, if you are in a situation where, if you're in a situation where you say, hey, none of this do I want to address right now. None of this. That's totally fine. You can still go to the link that I have provided. That link has a qualify for a coaching. That's only because if you say, hey, as of today, and you're seeing this is for me to help you just to begin to think more as a tech, because tech may not be your business. But for the people who are watching this or hearing this today, if you go to Linktree / Coach Ayesha, that way you can still get some type of clarity of what can I do today, even though it's not something you want to address. You can find a buddy and say, okay, can you write these things down? Can we get started today? I don't want to do this because I don't want to think of the worst case scenario, but I promise you, even if you don't feel like doing this, you're going to simplify things for all of the experts that are in your network. You're including your CPA. You would have now recorded something that can help to you find the value of things that you have lost. You would be helping your attorney if it becomes a legal issue. You will be helping your staff. You would be, in the end, you will be helping yourself and your business. But even if it's something you do not want to do, it is something, if you do not want to be one of the 100,000 of the small businesses that have already closed during the pandemic, and you're thinking, I will do it later. If this is not something you want to do, I'm hoping that today you will see the need to start. And this is only a tidbit, but this is something that you can start in the management of your business continuity plan. And I believe that if your company fits the bill, you need a business continuity plan. One, if you are at high risk of burnout, because again, anything can happen to you. If your staff is at high risk of burnout, if you are running your company and you have no or low HR compliance, this would apply to you. And if you have low morale, this would apply to you. And a lot of companies do at this time have low morale just because we are going through a pandemic. And I do want to conclude, unless there are questions, I do want to conclude in my sharing and saying that even though it has been unfortunate that some businesses have closed, some business owners may have done it for their health and their sanity. And I applaud you for that, because it is hard to say, I've worked this hard for this long and I need to move on and I need to transform into something else. But I do applaud you, because these are hard times for different people, whether you consider yourself, hey, I'm just a worker, I'm not a business owner. And so these things are impacting everybody. Businesses closing, businesses not being able to continue, and it impacts everyone, because if you go to work knowing that I'm toiling or I'm investing or I'm spending my time, however you look at it, for the end result for you to have a salary or for you to help provide a salary for employees. If you look at your efforts or your impact having a positive result, this is the money that my child eats from. When you have those scenarios of businesses closing, and then you have the pain of I'm going to keep going in spite of, because you know this is how you eat. uh, I applaud you for keep going. And if you have to transition and transform and take a break in your business, it is not something to be ashamed of. It is just helpful to have a plan to move forward.
Wow. That's all I have to say, Ayesha. That was so helpful, so real. And thank you for your transparency, because I know as business owners, we all felt that. We all maybe know someone who's had one of those situations or personally dealt with it, or just kind of recapping on the pandemic and how it's affected us. All of those things were a reality for us for the past 2 years, for sure. And you really helped give some insight on strategic ways to get through that and plan ahead for the future, because unfortunately every couple of years there's some type of emergency or pandemic, and so it's about being prepared for the next one. And I think those were really tangible steps that you gave, simple things that could be done. And we had a lot of people sharing in the chat, about great information. I'm not seeing any questions just yet, but we are open for questions if anyone does have any. For me, just with your experience about the Facebook outage, we were like, wait, what do we do? What do we do? Thankfully, you do have other connections. Some people, had like email newsletter lists and things like that, contact information from calendar appointments saved. But if your only method of communication was social media, that's not your platform. You don't own it, right? And so I saw people posting like, oh no, I got to start collecting emails. I got to start doing things differently, because that one outage for a couple of hours shifted their business, for that day. And we, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought
Right.
this, humongous, social media platform would go down. So you never know, right? So business continuity plan for contacts, how do you reach your customers in the event of a power outage or, a social media outage, having those multiple touch points of communication, little things like that. But I think the connection between personal and business is so key, because we don't think about all that, but it is an impact when something's happening. Prayers to the current situation abroad right now. Some people do business internationally and are affected. They're here in the U.S., but they're affected internationally because of what's going on right now in Ukraine and Russia. And just prayers out to everyone. But these are things that are unknown, right? And so, it's true, and I got notes I got to take. I got things I got to write down. I prepare some stuff, but when it comes to business, just the little things, like you said, just the little things, and the risk for burnout and things like that. So we're in tax season 2022, right? This is prime
Right.
time for us accountants, and burnout is real. And so, who does take over? You got clients returns sitting waiting to be prepared. God forbid something happens. What do you do? And I think those were all real life examples, whether you're in, photography industry, my
Mhm.
cousin Ty on here, whether you are retired, whether you are in a consultant, whether you're in the fashion industry, it affects all industries, and I think those tools were definitely helpful. So we've got some great feedback here, great information. So if you didn't get the Linktree link, hop onto the Facebook Live. The link is in there if you're here on Clubhouse. Great information from Alma, Ebony. Thank you guys for your feedback. So this will be saved here on the Facebook public page at SDR Consulting. And Ayesha, I believe you shared it on your page as well. So we're gonna just actually wrap up. If there's no questions, I'm gonna actually just recap for anyone who's joined us late. And then Ayesha, I want you to share, your information as far as contact information as well. And this will be turned into the podcast audio version as well in a couple of weeks. So feel free to stay tuned and definitely share this information with those fellow business owners who need to hear it, and individuals, because it applies to us individually as well. So thanks again. Today we were here for Business Basics Friday. Guest speaker Ayesha Sanders discussing it's personal managing your business continuity plan. I'm Safi Russell from SDR Consulting, CEO and founder. And Alma says hello. Hi, mom. Is that your daughter? Is that your daughter, Aisha?
That is my daughter.
Oh, I
She's
love
with
it.
my mom. So
Oh,
that's my
awesome.
mom, Alma, and my
Hi.
daughter is with her.
Hey, that's so great to support your mom and support her business. So she did a great job. Safi Russell, SDR Consulting Inc., founder and CEO, and we are a virtual firm based in New York, but we work with clients all over, and we mostly work with business owners, helping them with startup phase as well as cleanup and all the fun stuff in between. So consultations, bookkeeping setup, tax prep, and then tax resolution if you do get into trouble. So that's our goal. You can reach us online and social media at SDR Consulting, website sdrconsultinginc.com, and by phone you can schedule a 15-minute free introductory call, 516-255-6603. All right, Aisha, you can go ahead and share your information and then we'll wrap up.
Yes. So again, I'm Ayesha Sanders. I go by Coach Ayesha. You may just find me hashtag Coach Ayesha. I have my link tree for it's link tree, Coach Ayesha link, and I have a link tree, Side Dude IT. So I run my tech through Side Dude IT, and I don't have to be your main tech if you can get the feel of exactly what that means. And I am happy to help. And most of the people that I tend to help are not tech people. You probably hate computers. Those are the people I like to help who get easily frustrated because it just needs to be explained to you in layman's terms. So I don't normally give out my phone number, but it is a virtual. So if you have a need and you want a callback, please feel free to text me at 919-446-1808. That's 919-446-1808. And I'm happy to help. And thank you for this opportunity, Safie. I really appreciate it. And I always appreciate sharing. And I have to say that this, even though you're seeing me here as an adult sharing something in business, my mom, Alma, who you saw online, she taught me since third grade to document everything. So this for me is not a new concept. It is something that I was taught in third grade. And she's worked in every industry that you could think of, including doing taxes. And is something that lives in me into documenting, and I think it makes one be more successful. Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Alma, for teaching. That's a great principle to have at such a young age, and it's carried you, to this point. So, thanks again for taking the time to share with us some valuable content, and preparing, and having that material and having that free tool as well. So, join us back here next Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern, for our next session. And everyone, stay safe. Have a great weekend. Get those plans in place. Don't work too hard. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. All right. Thanks again, Ayesha, and everyone take care.